AskReddit by Romeothan. Men who suddenly lost your interest in someone but for a weird reason. What was it? She accused me of cheating on her in a past life. Well, did you? Our elderly gentleman fell in front of us. He took a nasty fall. She found it hilarious. Instead of helping, she just stood there laughing. I helped that person out and I felt so embarrassed for her behavior. Also, that was the last time I saw her. It was a major turn off for me. Deleted. Every time I would stand close to her, I could smell piss. I thought maybe she was going through her periods or some UT, but the smell was consistent for days and very strong. I just couldn't associate such a pretty face with such smell, so I backed out. Also, some people say I have a strong sense of smell, so that could be it as well. UT maybe, poor hygiene maybe, or it could be that she was on drugs. People that take methadone smell like cat piss. The reason it's called meow meow on the streets. I invited the girl from my psych course I'd been vibing with to a party. Her car rolled up and I came out to greet her, but it was a dude's car, and she was drunkenly making out with him as I walked up. I didn't flip out or anything, but she slurred her way through some weird attempt at reassuring me that I shouldn't worry, cause she was only sleeping with him to punish him because he was a bad guy. Apparently that's a thing she does, and that I was a good guy. I didn't ask what happened to good guys. I felt bad for her date, whom she completely ignored the rest of the night. As for the girl, she ended up totally engrossed with the party host's gerbil, tapping on the glass of its cage, whispering how she wanted to kill it. I found somewhere new to sit in psych class for the rest of the semester. This one is actually so unhinged sounding. The way she treated her children. Her boy was permitted everything and her daughter had to follow very strict rules. Did you say anything to the mom about it? I'm curious to what her reasoning was. She kept buying me stuff. It was nice at first, but she kept doing it weekly and demanded I give gifts in return. I asked her to stop and she said no, this is what I do. Felt like she didn't even care about what I wanted. I'd been talking to this girl in class I thought was really cool. We ended up going for a bite after class one day and she suggested we go hang out in my dorm room. Hell yeah. Then she took off her glasses and she looked exactly like my mom. It was so jarring I excused myself to the bathroom to regroup, but when I came back I couldn't unsee my mom's face on her. I made some lame excuse and went back alone. I felt bad about bailing on her, but I also, how the hell would I tell her the real reason? Either she thinks I'm a weirdo or thinks I'm saying she looks like she's in her 50s. A guy at a party once told me I looked like his mom. Then he tried to make out with me. They smelled wrong. I did this. Tried explaining to my friend and they kept insisting that the person didn't smell bad. I couldn't get my friend to understand that it wasn't bad, just wrong. Something about their smell was just not right. Still not sure how else to explain it and I've never experienced it since. She spat in her hands and rubbed them together because she needed to wash them. I cannot describe the colossal speed at which that switch turned off. Was she some sort of 1930s farmhand or construction worker? This whole thing is like a Seinfeld episode generator. Reddit writes Seinfeld is usually a cut above this. This was me, but heard from a family member about their co-worker. Apparently this guy was happily married with kids for years, then had a stroke. Sadly he instantly hated his wife and his kids, and got a divorce. Complete personality change at work too. That, as a husband and father, scares me if it happens to us. Heard a similar story from a co-worker. Woman got a brain tumor and her whole personality changed. She split up from her husband and was being really vile during the whole process. Had the operation and was back to being the lovely person she'd been before. It was a really horrible relationship, even this aside, but my wow, I think I actually hate this person moment was when we were at Badlands National Park. We were just walking out of the gift shop with some other woman when she just let go of the door and it like slammed into that woman's face. I said to her, OMG, I'm so sorry. Then when we got to the car I said to my GF in like a joking tone, I can't believe you didn't hold the door for her, haha. And because she was a very miserable person all the time, this makes her mad. And she goes, well, you're the man, you're supposed to hold the door. I don't need to hold the door for anybody. And yeah, that one statement alone was very eye-opening for me. Seriously, the easiest, least heartbreaking breakup I've ever gone through. Deleted. Her ditzy and naive behavior was really cute at first, but eventually I found out she really was that dumb and dating her would be exhausting. Same. I knew I had to break it off when I realized I didn't want to take her out of town for the weekend, mainly because of the hours I'd have to spend with her in the car. She didn't hold the door open to people just meeting her at the door, would let it slam on people behind her, didn't do the little thank you wave to other cars that let her out, didn't say please and thank you to serving staff. She wasn't overtly rude, she just had a bit of a me vibe. These are the exact things that turn me off completely. She told me she was pregnant and it was mine, 2 days after sleeping with me for the first and only time. Then proceeded to tell me she had a boyfriend. I should have twigged earlier really. She flew from Norway to sleep with me and flew back the next day. In Norway this is a form of catfishing called rakfisking. After 3 dates she sat in front of my house on a Sunday morning at 8, texting me. She did not live in the same city as me. Moving way too fast. 1. Maybe third date, hey, I'm moving to LA and you should come with me. Another maybe second or third date, I'm not on birth control and have the mindset of if it happens it happens. Another 3/4 date, we should get a dog together. I told each of them I think we want different things. It grosses me out when people take such a lackadaisical approach to reproducing. She had a set of golf clubs in a golf bag standing in the middle of her bedroom, right in the way of everything. After a few weeks of visits, I finally suggested that maybe she should put the clubs in her garage. Well, she didn't like my suggestion and basically came unglued at the idea that I would tell her how to live her life. So, I agreed, no one should tell you how to live your life. Bye. That was the end. My cat didn't like her. Brought her home to introduce her to my parents. She meets my childhood cat and it goes psychotic. Just for her reaching down to pat him, he panicked, attached himself to her arm and wouldn't let go, just clawing at her like he found a demon to fight or something. When he eventually detached himself, they were both running around the room screaming as she tried to wave him off her arm. I checked her over and he did some damage. He's never acted like that to anyone before or since. We broke it off shortly later. I found out a few years ago she was in the court system. Why? She tried to kill her own kid. I didn't dodge a bullet because of my cat, I dodged an artillery shell. That is some scary shit. Your cat may have saved your life. Way back in college I was doing some training for a call center job and there was a super beautiful girl in my class. We got divided up in 2 groups for something and got grouped together. Pretty much the first thing she did was start making fun of our disabled co-workers in another group, and on top of that she was dumb as a bag of rocks. Seriously, one of the most dumpster fire personalities I've ever encountered. Outside beauty can't make up for inside ugly. She asked really precise things about our future. Worst part was, she would talk me through building our future house. Which color it should be, how she wants the kitchen to look like. No mom. This is our second date. Relax. Third date and she was talking how she would like to get pregnant so we could have a kid after I graduated the year after. Third fucking date. Still don't understand how I didn't know out at that exact moment. Took me 4 more dates to run. Went on a few dates with a girl who by all means was a perfect match for me. Kind-hearted, funny, hot, and super into gaming and anime. On our third date we did a double date with her ex-boyfriend, who I was friends with, and his new girlfriend. He brought up a story about a time she shit her pants and she chimed in and told the whole story. Immature me was super grossed out and lost all attraction. That's probably exactly what the dude wanted to happen. Looking back I cringe at the fact I dumped her. Her biggest flaw was that she was willing to tell a very embarrassing story in front of me. Lol, what an idiot I was. I had a very attractive coworker whom I would get tongue-tied around because she was like young Audrey Hepburn level beautiful. One time, she made a really gross joke about shitting in her leggings and the attraction switch flipped off immediately. It was a relief, honestly, because I never remotely had a shot with her and was able to interact with her more professionally afterward. There is a couple. One person we went on a hike and they threw their energy drink can into a bush. I obviously made them pick it up and put it in the trash, but seeing that hella turned me off. Another one, they never cleaned their stretched ears so it would smell like rotting carcass. This reminded me of my case. I took a date to an art museum and she was touching the paintings with her finger. I couldn't get her out of there quickly enough. She would have a strong strawberry air freshener in her small flat with no windows open and served me hot sausage casserole. This sounds so disgusting. I love it. I went to the grocery store with her and it turns out she was one of those people with no awareness that is in everyone's way. Haha, I hate this shit. I have a buddy who doesn't know how to walk correctly in public. The dude is swerving all over the road and will just slow down in front of you. It's insane. You just kind of push him in the correct direction and it's not a coordination thing or that he's dumb. He's really smart and pretty athletic, just doesn't know where the fuck he's walking. I couldn't imagine my girlfriend being the same way, haha. I saw her kick her dog. Really hard. The dog didn't want to come back to her after. I didn't have to. Should have reported her. Deleted. Oh, wow. I can feel the pain of that from here. My sister once did something similar, but she'd already banked about 50 years of good behavior with me, so I had to just kind of write it off. Her husband does most of the cooking in their house, fortunately. She rummaged through my stuff acting like she had the right. Now I'm imagining Yoda going through Luke's stuff after he arrives on Dagobah. HMM. MMMHM. She chewed with her mouth open. In biology class she kept laughing while stabbing a dead frog that we were supposed to dissect. Dude, same. Was back in high school though and was mad into this girl I was partnered with. We even struck up a fun convo as the teacher was getting all the stuff ready. We had a fairly direct outline of what we were supposed to do and identify. Nah, she slit the belly open and began just pulling everything out. I just sat there confused as fuck as to how savage she was going on this poor little formaldehyde addled pond boy. Never talked to her again after that day and I considered it a blessing. They needed attention more than they wanted me. I am not an emotional battery. She smelled like soup. What kind of soup? She went to ride a train and after a homeless guy walked past she screamed, "You fucking stink." Felt bad for the homeless dude. Holy shit, that's awful. We were sexting back and forth. Then one morning she just sends me a photo of her tits covered in some other guy's load. We weren't exclusive, but nothing I'd said implied I'd be into that and it 100% killed any interest I had in her. Gave me a good point to empathize with women not wanting surprise dick pics, even from guys they're seeing, though. I had a similar situation. I was talking to this girl, we were on and off friends, and on and off more than friends. One day we were texting, it started getting a bit sexual and she starts sending me her nudes. Several of them. But they weren't selfies. They were taken of her on a bed from a clearly floating camera angle a few feet away from the bed. I asked, who took these, and it started to crumble from there. She kept using the word ick, really bugged me. As a girl I feel the same way with the new wave of people using it. She made fun of an overweight woman at the gym, pointing at her and saying, why does she even bother, look at her, OMG, do you see that? That's the whole point of the gym. I don't understand folks who mock people making a change. Went on a date with a polished girl. Was going quite well, she seemed really nice. Then she suddenly started asking me what my opinion of polished people was. I would have thought me being on a date with her would kind of answer that, but alas, I assured her I had no issue with them. They're good people from what I've experienced. All good. And then, she wouldn't let it go. She asked me again like 3 or 4 times. We got stuck on this for like a solid 30 minutes of me telling her the same thing. I honestly don't know what else I could have said to reassure her, but she seemingly wasn't getting the answer that she wanted. I guess she had some insecurity about it, but the way she wouldn't drop it despite me asking her to move the conversation on made me think this is something that would be hanging over any potential relationship and wouldn't go away, so made me lose interest pretty quick. I've been active in a group for many years and there was a girl of Polish origin, but we never really talked. After years of working together she told me that she was scared talking to me because of my German origin. Some scars cut deep. Didn't return the shopping cart and left it in the middle of the parking lot. Not weird. That's the sign of a shithead. Dirty acrylic nails. She threw trash out of the car window driving through a beautiful forest area. I was eating outside with a coworker who threw her spent cigarette into the grass. I was like, seriously? She apologized, but what are these people thinking? Was dating a girl for a few months and one night we went out to a bar and we happened to run into one of her old guy friends. The night wraps up and he asks for a ride, so she said she'd drive him home. We get to the car and I start to get in the front seat and she tells me to get in the back seat, and her friend just gave me a look like I was a chump and says, yeah, get in the back seat. I just closed the door and walked away. Never called her again. Okay, WTF mayo. Did she say something after you closed that door and started walking? How'd she react to it afterwards? I'm nosy. Apologies. Went on a date and somehow the topic of the Alamo came up. For some reason, she mentioned how crazy it was that the Texans won. I was like, I'm pretty sure they all famously died after putting up a very brave fight. She immediately argued that I was wrong. I thought about backing down, but I just knew I was right, so I stuck to my guns. Eventually, we looked it up, and lo and behold, she was wrong. She was clearly upset for the rest of the date. Surprisingly, she wanted to see me afterward for some follow-up dates, but I just couldn't get past her inability to be wrong, so I made up some excuses and bailed. Deleted. Very cute girl, very sweet, really liked me. But she looked way younger than she was and I worked for middle schools. Her features were too close to the students and it made me feel weird. When I was in my late 20s, I worked with a guy who was early 30s who had taught middle school for a couple of years right out of college and then changed careers to it. One night, a group of us went to a burlesque theater. It was no nudity, but plenty of skimpy clothing on both the men and women, so something for everyone. It was a small indie theater, so cast members were taking tickets. As we go in, the pretty early 20s girl taking our tickets says, "Hi Mr. XO, hey, nice to see you." Yep, he'd taught her 7-8 years prior. Later in the show, A comes out in some hot AF lingerie and belts out a tune. She had a great voice and a smoking body. The guys in our group are just drooling over her, except poor Mr. X, who had his head in his hands. She's still 14. She told me she doesn't buy electronics in certain months because of the zodiac signs. Hey, don't knock it till you get absolutely zapped by that Aries season era universal remote. She kept insisting that I was lying and then said she'd have to train me to be honest like one of her dogs. How much you wanna bet her dog was a liar, but she just never caught on, and the dog spent years laughing at her behind her back. She had nasty toenails. Hygiene. She was like my twin personality wise, we got along great. But she would use heavy perfume to cover up her BO. Her hair would look a bit greasy at times, and I could tell some days that she hadn't showered in a while. She also partied a lot and was into party drugs. Wasn't really my cup of tea. I was very infatuated by her when our friendship started. Her looks and personality were very attractive to me. Over time though, I just found that my attraction fizzled out and I just loved her as a friend. I could not get over her hygiene. She eventually asked me out, but I was not interested in that kind of relationship with her. Unknowingly at the time, that ended our friendship. She stopped talking to me after that. Still a bit saddened by it. It was quite a few years ago now though. She was mean to the frogs at the aquarium and kept hitting the glass trying to aggravate them. Her dogs were horrible. Loud, out of control, no sense of personal space, wouldn't listen. She'd just laugh it off and call them her sweet little boys. Nope. Deleted as soon as I left her place. That's really common. So is a zero level of concern for dog hair everywhere, including the ice trays. So I am telling a girl I've been seeing for a few months now that I can't go to the gym cause I'm sore from skateboarding. I've been skating my whole life. She says I shouldn't be sore cause you just stand on it. When I attempt to tell her skating is rather physical, she cuts me off and reiterates no, you just stand on it. Never saw her again. I skateboarded up till about I was 23 years old. Yeah, that's incredibly ignorant. I'm 37 now, and if I try to get on a skateboard and 360 flip out of breath in probably a minute and a half trying to land it,